Dune Part 2, one of the greatest science fiction movies ever made. Nearly everything in this film just works. The characters, the acting, the music, the gripping action scenes, and epic scope of the story, even the pacing and the editing. I was not just entertained the more this movie went along, but I was in awe at how good it really is. It's one of those movies that genuinely gets better and better as it moves along until the credits roll. This first part of the review will be non-spoiler. Later on in this video, I will have a spoiler section to dive into the story a little deeper. First and foremost, I must give credit to the director, Denis Villenueve, for crafting such an ambitious and unique film. I have not personally read the Dune books by Frank Herbert, so no book spoilers here.
From the pages of Dune and Dune Messiah,
but from what I gather, it is a very difficult story to adapt. Denis manages to accomplish this though. His attention to detail is uncanny. Perhaps his greatest strength is his visual eye. He has an intuition throughout this movie that has to be seen and felt to be appreciated. In Dune Part 2, we follow Paul Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet, as he struggles with accepting his fate to lead the Fremen and avenge his family. Chalamet's performance was filled with fire and intensity. It is easily one of the best performances of his career. His passion in this role is felt so much that we find ourselves wanting to join the cause and fight alongside Muad'Dib. He has an emotional bond and chemistry with Chani, a Fremen warrior who is played by Zendaya. She likewise turns in a stellar performance. As Chani, she shows throughout how skeptical she is of the entire prophetic agenda surrounding Paul, being proclaimed Lisan al-Gaib, the one who will save Arrakis. I really loved how intelligent and perceptive Chani is. Zendaya was great. Arguably the best performance in a film with incredible roles was Rebecca Ferguson as Paul's mother, Jessica. The penetrating gaze of her eyes, the confidence at which she walked, and the elegant beauty of her performance, the transformation she shows on screen, and especially after she drinks the water of life, is magnificent. She is magnificent every time she is on screen.
You are not prepared for what is to come.
Stellan Skarsgard is yet again incredible as Baron Harkonnen. He's another character you just can't get enough of when he's on screen. The Baron is revolting and cold and yet interesting. The surprise of the movie is probably Austin Butler as Faid Ratha. This new character is vicious, intelligent, and psychotic. There is a charisma and unbridled wickedness in this performance. The way he looks is so unique, with his pasty white skin and bald head. Austin Butler deserves immense credit for portraying such a memorable villain. His brother, Beast Raban, played by Dave Bautista, who returns here, was good as well. I think he's a very solid, underrated actor. I surprisingly felt myself kind of rooting for him towards the latter part of the movie, even though he was a bad guy. The cast was just uncanny. So many great performances. I don't want to forget Javier Bardem as Stilgar and Josh Brolin as Gurney Halleck. Both actors reprised their roles and turned in stellar performances yet again, especially Javier. His ever-devout Stilgar,
I don't care what you believe, I believe,
added heart and depth to the film, as well as some moments of humor and levity.
That's what
she said.
The visuals in this movie are breathtaking. Credit has to be given to the cinematographer Greg Fraser for helping to frame and capture so many gorgeous scenes on the sand-swept dunes of Caracas, such as the thrilling ride of the sandworm. My heart was pounding seeing Paul waiting as the sandstorm comes barreling towards him. Like I said, just the excellent work by the cinematographer. Beautiful cinematography in this movie. Another MVP of these movies is the renowned legend Hans Zimmer, who yet again has crafted a beautiful, powerful, and dramatic score.
I was trying to create the sound of sand and just atmospheres.
The music appropriately lifts the scene even further into our consciousness. I especially appreciated how so much of the score was synced so incredibly well to the action on the screen. For example, towards the beginning there is a swell of music as Harkonnen soldiers glide upwards towards a cliff, which just beautifully accentuates the scene. This undoubtedly will be one of the best movie music scores of the year. Have to also give a shout out to the incredible costume design by Jacqueline West and set design by Shane Viel in the world of Dune. The aesthetics are so unique and clever. The face-covering veils of the Bene Gesserit are mysterious and evoke power, particularly Charlotte Rampling as Reverend Mother Mohiam, who I might add is excellent. Other examples are the cold and dystopian looks of the Harkonnens and their world. The black and white colors are very cool to look at, with some interesting costume designs, such as with some alien-looking all-black design guards during the battle. The way in which scenes are framed with the set designs and costumes is among the best I've ever seen in sci-fi. Everything looks so creative to the senses and ignites a sense of future fantasy realism. When the Emperor, played by Christopher Walken, is sitting on his throne and he has the Princess Irulan on one side, played by Florence Pugh, dressed in light colors, and he has the Reverend Mother Mohiam on the other side, dressed in black. It's a stark and poignant visual shot. Also, the metal shroud of Princess Irulan is very neat as well. I cannot rave enough about the costume and set designs in this film. Like I said, truly some of the best in all of sci-fi film that I've ever seen. On to some spoilers. So let's get into it a little bit more. I was really surprised at how dark Paul and his mother came across at times in this.
Are we the baddies?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I was definitely rooting for them, but there are times when it seems that they are a bit dark themselves for sure. Especially, like I said earlier, after the transformation of Jessica, after she drinks the water of life, and then after Paul drinks the water of life. It's interesting, there's kind of two different movies here for their characters. There's before the water of life and after the water of life. An example of Jessica's transformation is in her dialogue about how they need to take advantage of the weak Fremen. It's pretty chilling. Also, talking to her baby was very odd, but in the best way possible. Very, very creative. Very interesting. The worm scenes were great. Very cool to see them ride them, but I still do wonder how they get off them. As I said before, the Harkonnens' world was really cool and interesting. I would never want to go there, obviously. They are very brutal. Speaking of brutal, I was surprised the Baron was killed off so quickly at the end. I thought he was the big bad guy throughout all three movies, so I was a little surprised by that, but the scene was very cool. Paul walked in very emotionless and confident and just walks up and stabs him in the neck on the Emperor's steps. That reminds me, the reveal that Paul and his mother are part Harkonnen was shocking to me. I had no idea that was coming. That was a really nice little twist. Christopher Walken was great as the Emperor.
Your father was a weak man.
I appreciated how subdued he was. At the end, it was a great scene when Paul stomps his foot and commands him to kiss his ring. So many great scenes to discuss. I loved when Paul shouts at Mohiam,
"What you're about to do, Paul Atreides."
Silence! And she stumbles backwards, murmuring blasphemy. That was a really nice moment. It gave me chills. Very interesting that the Bene Gesserit apparently has been behind much of these events, manipulating the Fremen, as well as the Emperor and Atreides. I'm still unsure if they are evil or immoral or what.
Are they really that bad?
Bohemian has that line at the end to Jessica when she basically says there are no sides. But I mean, I would definitely say they seem evil or bad right now for sure.
They are bad dudes.
The fight between Paul and Faid Ratha was intense. I like that there was no music in that. That was a nice little touch. Made it a little more dramatic. I actually thought Paul was stabbed there for a second. I love the "May your knife chip" retort from Faid.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
A little surprised that all the Harkonnens died this movie. I just thought some would be around for part 3. To backtrack real quick, that speech earlier by Paul to the Fremens was incredible. That was one of the best moments of the film. A powerful, inspiring speech that really gets your blood pumping. When Paul says he will marry the princess, I felt so bad for Chani. I could just feel her pain and sense of betrayal in that moment. It really made it hit harder when Paul said earlier, "I will always love you."
I will love you as long as I breathe.
I just really felt bad for her. You see the tears in her eyes for a little bit, and the pain you can see on her face. Overall, just a powerful film. Truly a work of art. Everyone involved should take a bow, because movies like this are so difficult to make and even rarer to come out as good as this. My final rating for this is a 9.2 out of 10. And honestly, it may even be higher than that as time goes on. I have a feeling this movie will age very well. What an incredible film, masterpiece and art. You've got to watch it. Thank you for listening, and take care.